And hello there, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Meet a Geek. I'm Omar, once again having a bad hair day, but according to my guest today, I look gorgeous. And speaking of people who look gorgeous, I want to introduce my guest today. It is Crystal Darby. How are you doing, Crystal?
I'm well, and I was afraid there was another person on the call since you said you were going to introduce somebody who was gorgeous.
Yeah, I was like, okay, and Sofia Vergara, everybody.
Yes, exactly.
No, I wouldn't do that. You are a gorgeous person, and I'm very happy that I get to talk with you again because it has been a while since we've last spoken, due to the coronavirus and all that. But I'm really glad that you were able to, spend a little time with me today so we can learn a little bit more about you.
I'm really happy you asked, Omar.
Absolutely. So let's start with the very first question that we ask everybody. Who are you, Crystal Darby?
Who am I? I'm Crystal Darby. Okay, we're done. No,
Okay.
more than that, don't you? Yeah, I'm a small business advisor at the UTSA Small Business Development Center. I am a mother of a very amazing son who a lot of Geekdom knows, and I'm a grandmother of an amazing grandson who most everybody at Geekdom also knows.
True
That's who I am.
that. So what do you do? I mean, you mentioned a little bit earlier that you are part of the Small Business Development Center at UTSA. Kind of tell us what that is and what people can expect from it.
Okay, so we're funded by the Small Business Administration with a match from the state of Texas. And as a result of that funding, we're able to do one-on-one advising with small businesses to help them get started, to help them grow, to help them develop to the next level. And we do that one-on-one advising at no cost because, well, those small businesses have already paid their tax dollars for it. In addition, we do about 300 workshops per year. Right now, all of them online, and it's a fun job. I've been there. It was 9 years, a couple of weekends ago, and really happy that I got the job. It's a really good fit for me, and I work with some of the most amazing business owners, a lot of Geekdom members, and just enjoy it with every single one of them.
So how did you end up getting that job initially? I mean, you said it was 9 years since. Like, what was that process like? What was that story?
So I had my own business for 12 years, and in fact had used the services of the SBDC. I had an advisor of my own who gave me excellent advice. And had I listened to her, I probably would still be in business for myself. I probably would have been a little more successful, financially at least. But I saw the opening and figured it was a good time in my life to get stable income, not have to work quite so hard. I'm doing pretty much what I was doing in my old job. I mean, in my own business, except now I don't have to market my services and I don't have to invoice my clients. And they have this thing called holidays, where they actually pay you to stay home. It's an interesting concept that in 12 years I didn't experience in my own business. And they also have health insurance. So that was a major consideration too,
Right.
until I hit Medicare. So.
So, I mean, like these days, people are getting paid to stay home anyways, but they're also working from home, which is a big difference.
I'm really, really fortunate right now that I've got a job that continues to pay me and that I can work from home. I came home, started working from home on March 17th. The rest of the group came home the following Monday. So I was a little bit ahead of the curve simply because of my risk on this pandemic.
Right.
So I'll probably, it looks like I'm going to be here at least through the fall semester. There's some talk about maybe staying here through spring. I'd be okay with that. I really love being able to work from home. I miss coming into Geekdom, but I really, really enjoy not having to worry about transportation, and be this close to my kitchen and my restroom and all of that. It's been really delightful.
Yeah, you always need to make sure that your throne is yours and only you use it. That's a very important
Yeah,
thing. Like I can't.
especially during the pandemic.
Yes, especially during the pandemic. You note for all listeners, You cannot get COVID by sitting on a public toilet seat. I'm just letting you know that's
Good
not something
point.
that happens. But
Good point.
but you can get an STD. Just letting you, just kidding about that. Just kidding. The jury's still out on that
Yes,
one.
he is definitely not a scientist. Let's not listen to him on that. Okay. I
Yes.
don't know that he knows what he's talking about. So
Yeah. Someday I'll be president and I will tell you all the scientific facts you need to
there you
know.
go. There you go. I'm using bleach, you know.
Just a little bit of political humor for you people out there. All right. So you mentioned Geekdom earlier, and I do want to talk a little bit about that because this is Meet a Geek, and we're kind of talking about two different Geekdom members that are out there. So what initially brought you to Geekdom, or how'd you find it, and what has your experience been like?
My son, who's a founder of Heavy Heavy, for anybody who doesn't know, had office space at Geekdom. And I used to come and visit him and got to know quite a few of the members and staff. And initially was referred to as Mama Darby, which I'm very proud of. I will take that moniker anytime. And then went ahead and joined, was very happy that UTSA decided, or the SBDC decided to pay my membership.
That's
If
nice.
I figure out how to get them to pay for parking, I think I'd be in better shape. But
We don't.
usually when I go to Geekdom, I take the bus anyway, because it's a straight shot from my house.
Yeah, but we don't necessarily want all the funding to go to parking because we know how expensive parking downtown can be.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. It's a little bit too far a walk from the UTSA parking that's under the highway. A little bit too far a walk for me.
Yeah, it is. It is a far walk. Actually, I remember doing that, but that was from the Weston Center because I used to do like a part-time job at UTSA downtown campus, and then I would walk to the Weston Center to start working at one of the startups that was over there. That was a
Yeah,
long time
yeah.
ago, but that was quite the trek. That was quite the trek.
I remember doing that. Gosh, I spoke at Code Up when Code Up was at the Weston.
Yeah, I
And I
remember.
also the first couple of times I went to visit my son was when he was helping with Techstars, and Techstars was at the Weston.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the floor 10 and 11. I think it was Codeup took floor 10, right? And then Geekdom was on floor 11, if I remember correctly. I mean, it was both floors, and there was office space on both floors, but
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
Codeup kind of pretty much took over the 10th floor, and then they moved over to a new space in the Navarro building, which is pretty cool. I mean, that's the sort of thing
yeah.
that we'd love to see in San Antonio. You know, small businesses growing and then finding their own space around town, especially in the downtown sector, since there's so much activity there. There's so much concentration. We love to see businesses go from one person, two people to, hey, now I have this whole building to myself. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
So let's talk about the value that you've gotten from Geekdom. What sort of things someone can expect going in there, but more importantly, what are some things that you have gotten by being a member of it and being able to work with all the great companies that are there?
Well, I mean, number one, I've made more friends than I think I have since high school.
Yeah.
I'm blessed with all the folks that I've connected with that have been members of Geekdom, staff at Geekdom, and a lot of those relationships are really deep. I mean, we spend time together. Brunch. I actually had brunch with two former Geekdom employees on Saturday, and it's just those relationships are just so valuable to me. Um, at least from my standpoint, because I'm not selling anything. I've been had the opportunity to be able to be a mentor, and not have to worry about whether I recruited people to be my clients
Yeah.
because there was no money changing hands there. And I've made a lot of friends who have then become clients, like and Cynthia Phelps was, I think, the first one. And then Cynthia introduced me to a whole bunch of people who then introduced me to a whole bunch more people. And so that's been really rewarding to see, and especially to see those clients grow, and accomplish, whether they move out of Geekdom or not, or whether they're just solo entrepreneurs and they've been able to grow their revenue and I've been able to help on that. So that's been really, really nice to watch. It's just been so rewarding.
That's excellent. A question kind of popped in my mind when you were talking about that, because you had that cascading effect, right? Where you talk to one person, you have a very positive interaction with them, and then it kind of cascades until they introduce you to more people, they introduce you to more people. And so I was wondering, for you in your position, how do you measure success, and how big of a factor has been that cascading effect in terms of that success measurement?
Well, I measure success if I've been able to help a company get from point A to point B. I mean, that's my success, right? Is that I watch my clients get successful. Officially, I get measured by starts, companies that start after I've started working with them. Excuse me, companies that have expanded since I've started working with them, new jobs, retained jobs, and then capital formation. And that's been really good too. The folks that I have worked with have, in nearly every case, increased the amount of revenue. In some cases, I've been able to help people get loans to grow their business, or to get them somewhat prepared for investment. And that's, I'm not the expert on investors for sure, but one of the reasons that I joined Geekdom was my concern about companies that had not really gone through that, understanding how much their companies were going to be worth down the road. And then they would get approached by an investor. And although the Geekdom community has been pretty full of integrity on this kind of stuff, right? But I didn't want any company that I worked with to sell themselves short when they took investment. And so that was a big one for me too. So I've been really, really fortunate that I've been able to make my goals, except for this year. So apparently it's very, very difficult to find people who are hiring, and also finding people who are expanding businesses right now,
Right.
largely epidemic, although capital formation with helping my clients get PPP and EIDL funds certainly helped that capital goal. Although sadly, I wish I could have gotten them loans rather than, grant money from the government's not a bad thing. And so I've helped a number of companies kind of navigate how they're going to do the forgiveness on the PPP. And that's been nice too, to be able to be that source for people to call if they had a question.
Yeah, I remember a while back, I think earlier this year, you did a workshop during, I think, a lunchtime workshop with Geekdom, and it was focused on that same topic. I mean, the PPP, as well as the loans and the grants that were coming from the government to help out small businesses endure through this pandemic that we're still living through. And so resources like that are super helpful for anyone. And having somebody that you can trust and has been around, the community is well known, really well respected, being able to get that information from them is just integral. It's really it really helps them move forward, even in a situation that they would not have seen themselves in, or at least predicted something like this ever happening. So again, thank you for being that beacon of information.
Happy to do it. I actually did 3. I did one just me, and then really enjoyed being on a panel with a couple of other Geekdom members to discuss everything that was pandemic related. I think the value that I provide to my clients, whether they're Geekdom members or not, it is really nice to have someone to bounce ideas off of who does not have a stake in your business, and who you can absolutely be sure the discussion will be confidential. And anybody who comes on as my client, I can't really talk about unless they have given me permission to talk about them. And even when I do, we don't talk numbers, right?
Right.
We don't talk finances. So I think sometimes that's so helpful, especially if you have partners, sometimes to be able to bounce an idea off of someone before you go talk to your partner. Right, because you want to kind of get your thoughts together before you have those conversations, and I'm really, really fortunate to be in a position where I can offer that.
That's cool. That's actually something I did not think of. I mean, usually like if I come up with an idea, I just put it out there. That was the bad sound effect, but you all get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And being able to kind of bounce that idea off and like, you know what, maybe that's not such a good idea, or maybe if I phrase it this way, it'll be more palatable to my audience, or maybe this is a really great idea. I just need to flesh it out a bit more. Whatever that might be, that's a really helpful resource. So, speaking of helpful resources, this is a bad segue. What are some of the problems that keep you up at night? What are some things that you're passionate about that you think about a lot?
Well, if you had asked me this question, I don't know, how long has this been going on? If you'd asked me this question last year, I would have told you nothing. Nothing keeps me up at night. I sleep like a I sleep, but I wake up and then I go right back to sleep.
Just like rocks. Rocks do that too.
Yeah, apparently. I don't, that's not the case anymore. And for the first few months of all of this, March, April, May, nearly all of us, and I would guess all of us in the SBDC were working 18-hour days, and listening to our clients' situations. And I would wake up at 2 a.m. and not be able to go back to sleep and sob. I mean, that's all I could do was cry or scream, because the stories of what my clients were going through was taking, I mean, I certainly wasn't suffering as much as my clients were, but hearing those stories was really depleting, energy depleting, and trying to get back in a space where I could offer some help the next day was really difficult. I don't have as much problem now, but every once in a while, there are things that happen to my clients, to this world. What mostly keeps me up at night is being the mother of a Black son and worrying about his safety. That and all of my other male and female friends of color. That's a really hard one for me to get over. So we've been so light, Omar. I just had to inject some drama here. So.
No, this is real. This is good things that we have to address and we have to kind of talk about. I mean, because your clients are not just business owners. They're their husbands, their wives, their brothers, their sisters, their parents. They're people, right? They have things that they care about, and their business is a way for them to, provide for their family, or to drive a passion that they have, or for the most part, have a living, right? And being able to hear those things and be like, this is the most that is available to you, and there's not a lot more that can be done. I mean, that's hard. That's hard for people to say. Everyone wants to help, right? And they want to make things better, not just for business owners, but for other communities that are suffering these days, that isn't necessarily related to the pandemic, but can be related to something else. And having that sort of empathy, that's hard, right? It is really hard. Like you said, sometimes you scream and you cry, and there's not a lot more that can be done about this. And the fact that you have those feelings, the fact that those are things that you are enduring for yourself, that just means you're empathizing with people that are out there. And I think at the very least, that's what we need more of. And so that's
I would agree.
That's a good example of that. So I do appreciate you having that sort of attitude and thinking about those problems, right? And thinking about what are some ways that we can help others, even if they're not related to us. Maybe they are clients or their friends or their friend of friends, whatever that might be. It is helpful to be empathetic to their situation and find even the smallest ways to be helpful.
The other thing that really does kind of keep me up now is that so many of my clients got PPP funds. Mm-hmm. So they did what they were supposed to do with those funds, which was keep their employees on payroll. That 8 weeks of payroll disappeared within 8 weeks. And we are well past that 8-week mark now. And there's just not any more funding. And Congress can't seem to agree. And we've heard that there might be a bill this week, but we heard that last week and the week before. And I don't want to give anybody false hope at this point. And that can be really rough. I've got an event venue that's one of my clients that they kept everybody on payroll until the money ran out. And then they ended up having to furlough everybody. And it hurts. Business owners who care about their employees really suffer. The employees do too. And so it's just been a really rough time for everybody. But I'm hopeful that we'll get some more funding to get some of these folks in better shape so they can recover. My restaurants are, and bars are pivoting as much as they possibly can.
Yeah.
And a number of my other clients have pivoted too to whatever they can do that can help and still keep people on payroll. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm really definitely hoping for the best. And it is an election year. And
Is it?
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
How do you pick up on these things, Omar? How are you aware of all of this?
I just keep a calendar. That's all I do. I just keep a calendar.
It appears to be a leap year. It must be a presidential election.
Yeah, just like put your finger to the window like, I feel a lot of BS coming my way.
Too true.
Yeah. So yeah, be sure, for anyone who's out there listening, be sure to go out and vote. Doesn't matter who you vote for, just go out there and vote. That's the best way for us to contribute to our democracy in this country. So please do so.
Absolutely. And I think registration cuts off on the 3rd of October. So get registered because you cannot vote if you are not registered, and then go vote. And make a plan to vote so that you've got an idea of how you're going to do that.
Yeah, and if you need to do some sort of mail-in ballot, USPS has a website just dedicated to that. So if you can just do USPS mail-in voting, you'll be able to see more information about that, or just go to vote.org to see if you are registered and also how to get registered to vote. It's a very important thing.
Yep. And Bear County's got an actual place where you can enter your address and your birth date, and you can find out if you're registered, but then you can also get your sample ballot for your precinct.
Right.
And there's down ballot races. So, please remember, we've got a lot of local races going on, vote all the way down to the end of the ballot. No matter what your preference is, just be sure you weigh in.
Just a little bit of an aside, because so my wife Becky, she's not from the US, she's from China, and every election that she's been able to participate in, it's always been, hey, let's go vote together as a family. She's like, okay, who am I voting for? So what we'll do is we'll spend a good amount of time running through that ballot, and we'll say, okay, well, let's look at this race for this court, or for this sheriff, for whatever that might be, right? It's not always just the presidential stuff that matters. I mean, that does matter, but what matters a lot more and is a lot more local are all the local elections that are going on. Those have the biggest impact to your life rather than kind of the federal level. So we'll run through the list of candidates and we'll look at, okay, so this one stands for this one stands for this, and we'll just kind of use some, I think there's some other websites that are out there. I think vote.org has these types of features where you can look at what they stand for, kind of their history, where they went to school, what their resume looks like. All that information is just available for you to see. And so that really helped us frame, okay, well, these are the people that stand for the issues that we care about. So this is where our vote's going to go. So when we get to the ballot, we already know who we're going to vote for. It's not going to be a surprise. Who is this? We already kind of know where we're kind of going at. And of course, that's the bare minimum, in my opinion. There are other ways that you can get involved. A friend of mine, Tex Morgan, I would say he's gotten the most involved out of anyone that I've ever known in terms of being a part of the democratic process. He even ran for office. He didn't get the office, but he would have been amazing if he did. and he is very much part of the Democratic Party here in Texas. He fills in information to the San Antonio developer groups that I'm a part of, and he's just always like posting things and letting us know like what's kind of going on in our local government. So all of that is very important for us to be able to get and to be able to understand. So, but at the bare minimum, just know who's on your ballot. Just know that. That's the bare minimum.
I've got a coworker who told me today that she's got a 16-year-old son and she has assigned him his first big civics lesson. She downloaded the ballot for their address. He can't vote, of course.
Right.
She has got him doing research and figuring out if he could vote, who would he vote for? And he's going to be researching every single one of those places on that ballot. So even those judgeships that can be pretty confusing. Yeah. So I'm so impressed that she's doing that.
That's excellent. That's an excellent idea.
Isn't that a great idea?
Yeah. I'm going to get my baby to do that.
She may be a little young for that, since, you shared with me what words she's saying so far.
Yeah. Ma, ba, ga, na.
Yeah.
She's only 1 year old.
Maybe just a little early.
Yeah, maybe, I mean, at least let her read some Shakespeare before she votes. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Absolutely.
All right. So before we leave and before we end this wonderful conversation, I do have another question I want to ask you. And that question is this. What would be a way for someone to continue being helpful, or how to be helpful within the Geekdom community? How to give back? What would be a way for you? What would be a way? Oh my gosh. How would you, what suggestion do you have? The things, the question, hard to ask. It is. In what way would you recommend someone to be helpful to the community at Geekdom?
There you go. You
nailed it. First try.
It only took, first try.
First try.
If you fancy edit this, it'll be the first try.
No, I'm leaving it.
There are plenty of ways to do that. And one of the major ways is to be a connector, right? So talking to people, finding out what they need, and then helping them find people in the community that can help them with whatever they need. And they may not be the person that can help, but they may know somebody who can. And I think that's number one. I have found, however, that my biggest value has come from bringing food.
That's true.
That's
true. You've done that a lot.
The most appreciated helpfulness is when I would stop by, La Panaderia and pick up a whole bunch of sweetbreads and pan dulce to bring to the community. Or when we were doing Fermented Fridays on a regular basis, either sponsoring the beer or bringing food, buying stuff from Pinch that would be delivered so that we could have that for Fermented Friday. So food seems to be a place where everybody is appreciated when the food comes.
So remember that, everyone. No, not at all. So remember, everyone, if you want to win the hearts of Geekdom members, you have to win their stomachs first.
Yes. I think this is why I am still referred to as Mama Darby on occasion.
Yeah, because you bring all the good stuff.
I try.
Darby being one of those good stuff.
I tried.
And for those of you who don't know who Stephen Darby is, I have to tell you, if you think that San Antonio is lame, Stephen Darby is the reason for it.
What?
Yeah, because he had the whole campaign, Keep San Antonio. Wait, was it Keep SA Real?
No.
Oh,
yes, real. Yes.
Sorry.
Omar. Oh my God.
Okay, hold on. Take two. If you don't know who he is, if you ever thought that San Antonio was real, he is responsible for keeping SA real. Although I'm keeping the whole lame thing part in here, just so in case he watches it, he'd be like, "What the hell, man?"
And honestly, part of the reason that he went for Keep SA Real was because there were people who were spouting off Keep San Antonio lame because of Keep Austin weird. So, but if you've seen those T-shirts or those stickers around town, That's my son. If you've seen the Hemisphere rebrand, he Heavy did that. They've got a number of clients inside and outside of Geekdom, including some projects for Geekdom. So, and he did the Code Up logo. So
Yeah, he
there's,
did.
yeah, I'm very, very proud of him. And he's a fun person to talk to.
Yeah, he's certainly a fun person to listen to. He plays some really great music. He did that at the first Thursdays at Dorchville. He had so the way I first met him was at KRTU. So we would have our radio
So
show
way
before,
back.
yeah, and then he had his show right afterwards. So when I'm driving back home from Trinity, I was listening to his show, and so it was both him and Rob. And then I saw them both again, and I didn't make the connection, I think, until it was like a Dorchel thing. And I saw him there. I'm like, this sounds like the music they would play. And it's like music for like advanced listeners, something like that. And I'm
Yep.
like, holy moly, this is the same
So
person.
Lab Kids production.
Yeah, Lab Kids Radio.
Yep.
It just
Yep.
blew my mind. So,
And that was how many years ago, Omar?
cheese and crackers. That was, I want to say like pre 2010. So like the mid 2000s, something like that.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. So that was a bit ago. That was certainly a bit
Yeah.
ago.
It was before Moses. So
Yeah. Before he
Moses
parted the
being
Red
the
Seas.
grandson.
Oh, that different. Sorry, different Moses.
Yeah, not all the way back.
Yeah.
But yes, they did the stuff at Trinity first, and then he moved to Illinois and did a similar show, and was part of a similar show in Carbondale. And then they came back. So
That's so wild. That's so cool.
yeah, that's neat.
Yeah. Small city, big
I've
stories.
known him almost as long as I have.
Hmm.
No,
No, I don't think.
no regrets. No
I
regrets.
mean, I wasn't there.
No,
Anyway,
you weren't.
no, I was
Just to
not
be
there.
clear, no, you weren't.
Yeah,
You
no,
weren't.
no, I was not. But anyway, thank you so much, Crystal, for joining us today on Meet a Geek. I hope you
Thanks.
had as much fun as I did.
I'm honored that you included me, Omar. I feel really, really fortunate to be a part of this, but also to be a part of Geekdom. So thanks.
Well, I'm really fortunate that you're in my life as the friend that you are. So thank you so much for being that friend to me and to my wife. And then soon, whenever we get to meet my daughter, I can't wait.
Can't wait either.
Yeah. And then thank you all for watching and for listening. We do appreciate that. Crystal, one last quick question. Who would you want to be a part of this program? Who would you want me to interview next?
Ooh, gosh, that's a hard one.
I should have prepped you for this. Oh well.
Yeah, you should have. Because I'm thinking some of the folks that I was really close. I don't know who's still a member since I haven't been there in what 8-9 months.
Yeah.
That's a difficult one. Gosh, Omar, why did you do this to me? I was sounding so literate and so smart, and now I'm just suffering through this.
It's one of those gotcha questions.
Apparently, I didn't know you were that kind of an interviewer.
Yeah. Just at the very last, like.
I might not have agreed to this at all. So.
Just like that one question.
Although I'm not sure, but I think Heavy is still a member. They don't have office space anymore. But
Well,
let me tell you one. There are two that spring to mind after that. See, it just took me a little while. Rick Morris,
Okay.
Roman Sandoval, and Alberto Pina.
Excellent. I went to middle school with Alberto. I called him Brandon back
Did you?
then. Yeah, we both went to middle school together. We were like really close friends. And then I went to Driscoll and then we lost touch. But it's just amazing. And there's a whole story behind that, but I'll leave that story for whenever we do talk to Brandon or Alberto. But I'm really looking forward to that. So that's a great suggestion.
And then my go-to, David Jones. So
He's like the common theme. I think at like almost every episode he gets mentioned, and I still haven't interviewed him. I think like he'll be like the 100th one.
yeah.
Special edition. Yeah. It's the David Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole reason why I did this is just to hype up David Jones. That's the only reason why I'm doing this.
Well, I'm glad I got his name in.
That's right.
Out. So, no, David's been such a such value to me and to my clients too. And so I make a lot of referrals to him. He makes a lot of referrals to me. We joke back and forth that we refer people that neither one of us is actually going to, get any goal type value out of. He refers people to me that will be one person businesses, and probably never get a loan, or any kind of capital investment. And I refer people to him that can't afford him. So.
It all works out though. It all works out.
Love. It's love back and forth.
Yeah.
David.
All right, everyone. So thank you once again for watching. Thank you, Crystal, for being here and for being such a great sport with that last question. And we will see you all next time. And don't forget to be helpful.